Yeah, I just was, in terms of a turnout for the primary on Tuesday, I was wondering if you all would want to comment on the fact that very little literature has appeared through the mail to the voters, and basically regular Democrats, unless you're within the party structure, have no idea who the delegates are that are running and what their backgrounds are. And I think this might have an impact on the turnout, which again affects the results. So I wonder if you want to comment?
I think that there is some of this underground amateur enthusiasm out there for McCain. I know Dennis did a column on... Oh, I'm sorry.
On the Democrats, there's been nothing.
Thanks, John.
It's okay.
It's just
I know it's more exciting to talk about.
Yeah, I know. I'm sorry. I'm sorry. I'm sorry. Thank you. I'm the bad guy here. Thank you, John. Thank you. Doug Muzzio's problem. We'll call it the Muzzio effect. I'm sorry, Jane. Go ahead. Go ahead, Lee.
Yeah, there's the point which is said that in the ballot, unlike the Republican side, you do walk in, you will see, before you see the delegate names, you will see Gore, Bradley,
Right.
Right.
and Lyndon LaRouche. No, that's true.
Right. You
That's
will
actually
see
true.
Lyndon LaRouche.
Yeah.
And right, and we didn't talk about Keyes or Forbes
Right.
or who'll
Margaret?
still be out there.
Thank you, John, by the way.
Immigrant voters who are registering or voting for the first time, are they going to have any influence on the primaries? Asian Americans, Latinos?
Margaret, there's just,
So
as you know, there's no
So
data. The sample size is so small as to be totally unrepresentative. I just don't have a clue. I really don't have a clue on either race. I don't. Anyone else?
You don't get enough Hispanics, and we've talked about the Asians. They're all over the place. It's a problem.
Right.
If they all lived in one place, they'd elect somebody, but they don't.
Margaret, do you have a sense?
The Latino
Let me turn it around. Let me ask you.
No, all I know is that they actually come out more in these presidential elections, even if there are candidates, Asian Americans or other candidates running in local elections. So I was just wondering whether anyone is following it, because if you read the mainstream, if you read VNS polls, you're not going to know that
No.
Asian Americans are there at all,
No.
for example.
No,
No,
there aren't
any
enough,
polls.
yeah, right.
Yeah, any
For us
polls.
to get a sample
That's why we
large
need-
enough to talk, to be able to really.
That's why we need your exit poll. Zane?
Yeah, I'm interested in this question of how little we know about who the Republicans are that will or won't vote on Tuesday, because there's no historical data. I've always had the impression that New Yorkers in general, even Republicans, have been embarrassed by, to some degree, embarrassed by sort of the Christian right flank of the Republican
Yeah.
Party. And I wonder, to the extent that Bush has gotten willy-nilly identified, whether fairly or not, with that group, you think there might be a backlash? Republican voters that might go to McCain just because they don't want to be...
There was initially.
Yeah, I think that's the sort of the blip, if you will, that we were all sort of picking up when the whole Bob Jones thing came up, and over the last, maybe 2 weeks.
Yeah, that was Michigan.
When I think there was. The question at this point is whether that's really kind of gone now, and
Yeah, the other
not
thing,
as-
this thing is moving so fast. I mean,
That's
all of
right.
us, read
There's
about news
news every
cycles.
day.
This is like a continuous.
Every hour.
I mean, the whole thing is flying by so fast that you get something like, Michigan. Bob Jones is gone already. We've got, there's 17 hits and counter hits past that already.
Right.
Bob Jones may be gone. The Bush is certainly more
For the-
identified with the social...
for
yeah,
November-
the social right than-
for
Yes.
November.
Religious right than McCain is. And
Yeah, for November, there's some damage done in Bush.
Right.
He went way beyond where he ever wanted to go to do this. No,
Well, I mean, it may have
Not
hurt.
for
It's probably hurt him somewhat
Yeah.
with Catholic voters and with some more moderate Republicans. I mean, I think that he would have gotten a bigger vote had he not, even here, had he not done that.
And
But
we'll
I
see
think-
that in the exit polls, because the exit polling is going to ask that direct question, so post hoc we'll know. Prior, we won't. Catherine?
Yeah, I'm just wondering, at the risk of mixing and matching elections, with McCain pulling out some of the first-time Republicans and getting new people kind of interested in the Republican Party, what kind of impact do you think that'll have on the Senate race? Do you think it'll work for Giuliani? And just to add, when you were talking about not too much invective, we assume everyone's saving it up for that race in New York.
They're not even saving it, they're using it
They're
now.
having
Come
a good
on.
time. That's the.
That'll have an
Well,
impact.
Yeah, I think your analysis is right, implicit when what you're saying is exactly right. Rudy and Hillary's going to be,
I'm not sure that,
Enough.
I'm not sure a lot of this stuff has
has
legs.
transferability.
I'm wondering, that was.
Yeah, I don't think,
I mean,
Is making a point of not attacking McCain.
Well, I think it could bring new people out, right? He certainly wouldn't want to attack him if he's not sure yet where it's going. Plus, I mean, I think they're friends in any event. But I think I agree with Lee that it's not necessarily like, this is a state in which people have been splitting their votes, did this last time, as we saw with, Pataki and Schumer, and, I don't know that it necessarily means
I mean,
that,
we had,
it's going one
Iowa,
way or the other.
ethanol, I can't even pronounce it. I mean, that was the whole issue. I mean, that's like, people didn't even run because of their position on it. I mean, the thing's gone. I mean, just evaporates, literally.
But it's still unusual that they're actually pulling people into the Republican Party.
But I think it's it's a McCain.
Yeah,
Yeah, I
I think
mean,
it's-
these guys they're gonna bolt, they'll go.
But-
Because we have those closed
I
primaries.
mean, McCain was I assume all you folks were experiencing this too. And for a couple of weeks there, people come up to you and all it was McCain. And I think there was a certain campaign finance reform, Bill Bradley
Yes.
overlap the McCain. I think he has
Yeah.
put a real blanket over that with this tone of his campaign the last week. And, this Reagan conservative thing, and I mean, that really hurts with those same voters. And he's left with, I think, a very Perot-ian kind of voter out there. And I think that's what he's now down to. He's lost the upscale guys, and he's, still holding on to sort of the lower and middle.
to follow your
I don't know why they did that.
And the comments, I mean, clearly Rudy is dissociating himself from the Republican establishment in terms of their condemnation of McCain, particularly not going to that event yesterday. Bruce Teitelbaum's quote that was reported by Adam Nagurny in today's Times is absolutely scathing, and it's directed directly at the governor. He says something to the effect, it is almost impossible to comprehend that any idiot could. I mean, you look at that quote, I mean, Teitelbaum goes after the governor in an extraordinary way. What you've got here is another eruption of this Giuliani-Pataki war here. I mean, I think the undercurrent here it's got tremendous impact for the Senate election, because there is no love lost. And basically, the mayor's campaign manager called the governor an idiot today in the paper.
But the governor doesn't want Hillary Clinton to be elected.
No,
in his own
no,
backyard.
but that's true.
So, I mean, everybody's got themselves.
I don't know.
Right.
I think compared to having Giuliani as the most important Republican in the state,
Well,
it's a question. So I think that, I think it's a
Question.
little hard to say.
And we're getting to 25 after, so we'll do this for another 10 minutes or so.
Okay.
We'll leave it up to the floor. Sir?
With the defection of Guy Molinari and like Peter King, well, do you think that will have an outcome in their particular areas on the amount of people that vote?
I have no clue.
Wow.
You mean in turnout?
In their areas, like Peter King's area and Guy Molinari.
Molinari is
It's crazy.
he's a force of nature,
He's a wild card.
God knows
And a
what he-
wild man.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But I think that the endorsements are dramatically overrated, and I think that if they command a political machine that can turn out the vote, then they're important. If they're names, I don't think it's going to matter.
Yeah,
Then it just makes
Michael
news,
Jordan.
and then it's gone.
Michael
Right,
Jordan.
exactly.
Every time you saw the ad, you expected to see Bugs Bunny standing there. So it's just.
Oh, yeah, we knew when we get the pun, the quips out, the sound bites out. But any further questions? Yes, in the back, I'm sorry.
Do you think that Bush is going to have a problem with his finances, with all the money he's spent already?
If he's the nominee
None
and they
if he
want to
wins.
defeat the archdevils, they will raise the money.
You mean the fiscal conservative who doesn't know where he spent $60 million? Mickey, the four of us are forming a corporation.
That's
We're going
right.
to go, and in 2004, we're going to get into the business of campaign consulting for the 6 months up to Iowa.
Right.
Because that's when all the money is spent.
Right. it's
God
all
knows
gone.
where.
And what did they do?
Not ads, not TV ads.
We were the wrong kind of pollsters.
I know.
That's-
Yeah, this education.
Okay.
But when they spend it, I mean, literally, where did they spend? Well, I know it costs some money to raise money, and you do targeted this and targeted that. But I mean, it's
Right.
it's supposed to be the
50
TV
million
ads in New York and California, and they already spent the whole wad by then. I mean, it's just incredible.
Yeah. Ma'am?
You mentioned at the very beginning something about pro-choice Republicans. How many pro-choice Republicans could there be?
In New York, quite a bit. Do you actually have
No, I
the
don't
number
have the number.
from the
No, but again, you know, that's,
exit polls?
you
It's
know,
a
the
lot.
Republicans are, and it isn't only New York Republicans. Congressional Republicans, those hot-eyed impeachment people, are a minority. They're a minority of the Republican Party. They happen to be a majority of Congress. But if you look at who Republicans elect when they have a broader electorate, look,
Right.
state after state after state, they elect. Now, you
Most
love
of the
him or
country
hate
is
him, but still,
pro-choice.
George Pataki is not some sort of hot-eyed, crazy conservative. Neither is Christie
Also-
Whitman, John Rowley, you name it, you know.
Also, if you're a Republican running statewide in New York with 3 Democrats for every 2 Republicans, you have to be a pro-choice Republican to win. So, I mean, New York breeds pro-choice Republicans,
That's
at least
right.
Same as in
one
New Jersey.
seeking office.
Absolutely.
Connecticut,
Yeah, and
So,
every
so,
place
so
will.
the Right to Life Republicans can either go for the Conservative Party, the Right to Life Party, or the Republican and overlook that issue because the Democrat is such a villain.
Right.
I mean, that's, I
Right.
mean, so it leaves them not a lot of wiggle room.
But as I mentioned earlier,
you may be right about this.
nationwide, only 51% of Republicans nationwide are want abortion illegal. Rather surprisingly small number, 44%.
And
indicate that they want, on the exit polls taken so far.
Right.
They, on those races, 51% want to make it
And that's a
illegal.
much
And
more
someone
conservative group than
so in
we
New
have.
York, it's a more
Social.
liberal, more pro-choice
Right.
electorate.
Because again, our conservatism here is really much more of a fiscal and law and order kind of conservatism, and it isn't that religious right, sort of social conservatism that you see elsewhere. And a lot of New York Republicans, I imagine we will have it on the exit poll, and we'll have a better idea for what it is in the primary, but I would guess that a good number of them are going to be pro-choice.
And also in New York, those people who are strongly pro-life or anti-abortion have other homes to go to. They
Right.
have the Right to Life
Right to Life
Party
Party
and the
and the
Conservative
Conservative
Party,
Right.
rather than the Republican Party. So there are other political outlets for those points of view where they don't exist elsewhere.
Right, which is what, and you can see that it's not, that it isn't a necessary thing by just looking at how Rudy Giuliani has stayed with his position and refused to go along with what the Conservative Party would have demanded of him in order to get their endorsement, and feeling that he didn't need to do that and he could stay, in fact, he needed to stay as a pro-choice
Yeah, I think so.
Republican
He
in
has
order
to.
to win statewide.
One or two more questions. Jerry?
Are the Right to Life and Conservative Party voters primarily registered Republicans in New York?
Well, I mean,
The ones who,
Voters.
you mean actual vote? Yes, because their actual registrations are smaller than what they
Minuscule,
get
yeah.
That's
on the.
right.
They would be
Right.
pushed
Yep.
out and vote.
Yeah, absolutely. Barbara, you've got the last one, or Jerry Skirt, Barbara, then Jerry?
Considering this is a unique opportunity to analyze who are the Republicans in New York State, what kinds of questions are people asking of the exit polls besides the obvious demographic data?
You know what, I'm doing the
I was
exit
gonna
poll
say, do
analysis for
any
ABC
of us
News. That
have
ballot
that with
hasn't
us?
been established yet, so
No.
the exit poll questionnaire hasn't been established. They're waiting till the very last
Where are you
minute.
working for, ABC?
ABC,
local or
national, no,
national?
national, and ABC local, but the exit poll, I'm doing, we divided the
You and I
Super
gotta
Tuesday
talk,
states, yeah, I
because
know.
I'm gonna be doing local.
Yeah, I'm doing local too. But the exit poll ballot for California, Ohio, and New York wasn't done as of this morning. They're waiting till the very last
But you'll be
minute
glad
put
to
it
know
together.
on the exit polls, apparently they're not going to release all those waves that all of us, sometimes see, and then you get to watch the news and you'll see Al Gore's ahead at 6 o'clock. Al Gore's ahead among men, and he's ahead among women. Stay tuned to see if he wins.
Right.
Okay, you're not going to get that at
Right.
6:30. Because
this
all,
could be a big night for
Yeah, it's
John
actually-
McCain. right,
so
you
there'll be
know?
that spin that goes on at 6, 7, 8 o'clock at night will be kept down a little bit this time.
Right, well, because if you want to know about that, that's because it's
stuff
been
has been-
it's been let out on Slate and
Right.
over the internet.
Everybody
and
knows
there's
it,
been a big,
except
and
the
there had been a
people.
big sort of, what had happened is it's now come out to the public that in fact, of course, reporters and people at the networks had always known a little bit about what was going on early, and but the public didn't.
we
But
should be-
now that
And we weren't supposed to certainly not
everybody was not
characterize a
allowed
race.
to, right,
But
we
Doug,
would
we
look
should all be
and
very
then
thankful. We've had
characterize.
4 presidential candidates come through New York in the last 24 hours, and it has given us a respite, even if only for a couple days from Hillary and Rudy.
Oh, absolutely.
Because starting Wednesday, we're back at it.
Oh, yeah,
Absolutely.
we're back to
And I
that.
think Jerry Sternick did.
Talk about
Had
that.
to do with Hillary and Rudy.
Did it really?
Did it?
Go ahead.
Should we try it? Go ahead.
We got to stay in
Okay, but
practice.
that's it, but then you have to leave.
One of the ad poll, I noticed, has Gore beating Bush by 17 points in New York. Now, assuming those numbers change, well, don't change, which they obviously will.
Right.
But if Gore really has, if Bush really has a 17-point deficit, that's actually a lot for Rudy to overcome. When people were talking in the summer about Bobby Kennedy winning, they said, well,
Yeah, they remember, they forget Lyndon Johnson.
Right.
It's just a
different time. Yeah, Hillary and Rudy
This is
drive their
very
own
different.
votes.
They're
Yeah.
so well known. They are.
But I must say,
people have
it's a
such
question we've
strong-
already been asked a lot, and I just can't imagine that it's gonna, although I must say, I guess on the Reform Party line, you could have, on the Liberal line, you could have Al Gore and Rudy Giuliani.
Right,
on the
you
Liberal.
could.
Oh, that would be fun. Now, that
That's
would be
right.
fun.
And there's still a little bit of,
Strange bedfellow.
But Jerry, and Lee's, everybody's poll shows the same thing. That
Right.
It is the darndest race that you've ever seen. Everybody thinks they know Rudy Giuliani. Everybody thinks they know Hillary Clinton. They either like
Still
or dislike them. And I don't know if it. Dick Sisk down at the news told me he was coming back from Iowa with another political writer, and the guy said, "Look, there's about a dozen people in New York who haven't got their minds made up on Hillary Rudy." He said, "Why don't we do it easy?" He said, "We invite them into a room, serve them a cup of coffee, and let them decide." Because that is about the size of it.
Yeah.
It is a congealed race.
Well,
it's the
here's-
darndest thing I've ever seen.
right. Here's what's odd.
This
There's
much,
more,
just
there's
far
more
out.
undecided about this week's primary
Than there is in that.
than there is about
Yes.
The
next
November
November's
election. Yes.
election between Hillary and Rudy.
It's incredible.
So,
And Al Gore, and not Al Gore, Bill Bradley.
that's
John
pretty
McCain has
crazy.
more support among Democrats in California than Bill Bradley does. Oh, God.
Yes.
okay.
Well, California.
Well, they were
How
crazy.
did we get there?
No, it's just a segue. Just a segue.
One more question. Yes, ma'am.
17% that you said the city Republican that I made up.
Yes.
How many are women?
How many
What's the makeup of the women?
Of men and
In
women?
terms of the sexes.
In the city.
Geez, I don't know. I think I have it here.
I have to go
Wait a
look.
minute.
I'd actually have to.
Why don't we
look
do
at
that
I mean,
afterwards?
I know
Maybe-
it's,
maybe we
much
can-
more male statewide, and probably we may have. I don't know if
Republican
it's something I can.
registration? It's
Yeah,
about 50-50.
Republican sort of registration in the city, how much, or
I don't know.
Okay.
Or
we got-
even of the
We've got
voters
Mickey
are-
on the case.
in the city, how many of them are men and women?
I don't have it citywide. I thought I did, but I don't.
Any final
I don't
questions?
know if I have.
I'd like to congratulate this panel.
Great discussion. Thank you. And I would like to thank my friends. Thank you.
One of you mentioned Clinton fatigue.
We're tired of it.
Right, we have fatigues of that.
I would like to join us for refreshments. There's wine, cheese, soda, water, coffee, etc. Thank you very much for being an good audience.
That's what does it.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Excellent job.
Oh, yes,
Thanks,
always.
Good questions from the floor.
It just dawned on me
It was
about
fun.
other thing. Here we were last time.
That's exactly right. That was
Schumer. We voted Schumer.
That's right.